Graveman, he's Midas Mulligan Magoo, and this is episode 17 of Not Safe for Work on WallStreetOasis.com. This week we're talking about winning with Charlie Sheen, strategic default, and the seriousness of the electronic assault on Morgan Stanley. So let's get started with some tiger blood. Blows me away when I see Charlie Sheen and think that this guy's only got 3.5 years on me.
Nice choice of words.
I was 16 when I saw Platoon in the movie theater for the first time. I'm amazed he made that movie when he was only 19 years old. I mean, seriously, what's not to love about Charlie Sheen? Nobody can say the guy doesn't leave it all on the field. He embodies go big or go home. At first I thought he was having some kind of breakdown, but now I'm starting to see that CBS handled the whole situation really bad. Yeah, the guy acts like a jackass when he's off work. So what? He's never shown up to work bent. He's never been anything but a consummate professional on the set. Like I always say, practice under the influence, perform under the influence. The guy's obviously a pro, and CBS really shitting their shoe on this one. What do you think, Midas?
Well, to take a quick trip down memory lane for our monkeys, when I was a young lad coming up, roasting was sort of a rite of passage in my neighborhood, and for those who don't know street vernacular too well, when you roast somebody, you essentially get them in a big crowd of scary-looking guys, and you verbally shit on them for a while, making fun or poking out some kind of irregularity or ridiculous characteristic of theirs. Now, when you have a face like this, obviously you stand out. So, in this neighborhood that I grew up in, they used to call me Charlie Sheen, and that's how they used to roast me. And, you know, if this sounds like something ridiculous or that wouldn't worry you too much, you've never been on the street with no lamp lights and guys that don't have more than a third grade education or any teeth staring at you in a big circle, about 20 of them and one of you. So, the whole Charlie Sheen thing is very, very personal to me, so I know what it's like to be Charlie. It ain't all about nose powdering and porno stars. It's hard work making something this pretty look like a fucking Estevez brother, guys. And the reality here is that Charlie represents what it means to be a man. And he doesn't live the neutered, quasi-commie life of a fucking Hollywood starlet boy. He gets real fucked up. He lives with a harem like every man should. And he has a very, very healthy disdain for authority. But as you pointed out, Eddie, the real icing on the cake is that he does a great job at his day gig. And this is what kills the powers that be. Because they really can't say shit to him. He really is a role model for young men out there. And sadly, most of the guys watching this show are going to think that I'm kidding and not take this comment seriously. Let me tell you something, fellas. If you can have a wrinkly-ass 75-year-old man's face while inhaling Marlboros on national TV, making the freaking interviewette look like an idiot for questioning you and trying to take charge of the conversation, and still be worth over $100 million, and be what? A couple of years older than your Uncle Eddie? You're doing something right. So, may we all one day be ridiculed the way I once was by being told that you look like Charlie Sheen or you act like him. God bless, Charlie.
True that. Alright, the subject of strategic default came up on the site again this week, and it's something I've been wanting to cover on NSFW. I get the moral outrage over someone who can afford to continue paying their mortgage but decides to leave the keys in the mailbox and walk away because the value of the home has dropped. I really do. I mean, I get that. But the fact is, a mortgage is a business transaction. It's just business. I believe housing prices have a good deal further to fall, and I'm not alone. Robert Schiller of the Case-Shiller Index, the housing index, thinks we drop another 25% from here.
Definitely.
If I'm a homeowner whose house would have to appreciate by 40% just to break even on the mortgage balance, I'm gone. You know, the money I'm spending on that underwater mortgage can be more effectively deployed elsewhere. It's no different than a margin call on a stock. You got two choices. Add more money to a deteriorating position, or walk away. And smart money walks every time. Am I right?
You don't double down on a wet piece of shit, Eddie. Seriously, some of our monkeys really make me laugh. I mean, wanting to make a lot of money and work in finance really is getting to some of you guys' heads. There are no excuses good enough for a bulge bracket or an F50 that aren't good enough for the average borrower. That's just the reality of the game. Don't talk to me about personal fucking responsibility if you supported the bailout. Strategic default's the only possible bailout for a lot of people. Why shouldn't they take it? If they want to, more power to them. I mean, God bless the strategic defaulter. He's nothing but a small-scale Charlie Sheen. He just doesn't have a missile cock to launch at the world, but is still cool enough with peeing on the doors of his masters and ding-dong ditching their ass. I got nothing against them. The reality is that we're all being held captive by the whims of a very, very small elite in this country. And if you think that getting on somebody's case because they left the keys in the mailbox is supporting capitalism, it's not, man. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. I mean, we get so hung up talking about ignorant idiots who took out mortgages they couldn't afford. We're ignoring the fact that a lot of the people left holding shitty notes today through no fault of their own are decent, hard-working people who did nothing to deserve this, who weren't stupid, who weren't making $1,000 a month and took out a mortgage that had been paying 2.5. So, hey, if they don't want to pay for Angelo Mazzillo and Hank Paulson and all the other fucking jackasses at the top, I got no problem with them. If you have no problem with a bulge bracket ass-raping somebody who can't pay the note, you got no problem with the guy ditching the note either. If you applaud Chuck Lorre for suspending Charlie Sheen for being a dick, you got no problem with Charlie Sheen being a dick and by winning on his ass. It's all in the game, guys. All in the game.
All right. Well, I was kind of surprised because we got very little response to the news this week that Morgan Stanley was hacked by the same Chinese crew that hacked Google. And I'm wondering if it's because guys don't realize what a big deal this is.
Think so, man.
I mean, hacking has become a monumental problem today.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only a few weeks ago that the NASDAQ itself got hacked. Now, imagine what would happen if hackers somehow figured out how to trigger all the black boxes to the downside. It would take a hell of a lot less than you might think. And, you know, and we can see the market drop 30 or 40% in a day. Circuit breakers be damned. This is definitely a national security issue. These guys are no longer pimple-faced 12-year-olds in their basement. We've reached the level of state-sponsored cyber terrorism, and there's big money to be made at it. And since banking has become such a vital part of our national security, it's incumbent upon the banks and the exchanges to make cybersecurity a top priority. The bad guys aren't fucking around, and we can't afford to be either. What do you think?
Been realizing it more and more each day. I mean, Wall Street suffers from the ostrich syndrome perhaps more than any place in America, other than maybe D.C. Also, I think you're off with the 30-40%. Something as simple as the flash crash can do that. Another huge event that we don't even recall ever having happened, even though it wasn't a year ago. A synchronized attack of this sort could wipe everything out in a span of seconds. When everything is online, it can disappear pretty damn quick. And I kind of don't have a problem with that, because all that means is that you and me will be back in the game dragging sacks of potatoes down Broad Street, you know, making a killing. But the bottom line is, you know, we're stupid, we're greedy, and our avarice has put us in this position to get fucked by every passerby while we keep our head in the sand and repeat that it's not happening, you know? The dreams of our inbred retard fucking oligarchy to force their ideas down the throats of the world is coming back to bite us, because we're not spreading democracy, we're spreading technology, we're spreading the kind of technology that can be used as a weapon by anybody who wants to fuck with us. And this is where Wall Street comes into play. And again, it's not about the mortgage bundles, it's not about the fact that, you know, we whore ourselves out to the politicians. It's about the fact that Wall Street, along with the large American industrial complex, is putting out these weapons. And they're not guns, they're not bombs, but these are technological weapons that are hitting the market, and they're being used against us, and we're pretending like they're not out there. So what do you do when you arm the rebels and they're rebelling against you? Well, eventually you get fucked, and that's sort of what's in danger of happening to us. And I think the guys out there who have computer and programming skills on Wall Street are really killing themselves by not going into some kind of cyber defense or intelligence consulting as a career, because that's where the real money is going to be very, very soon, if it's not already there. So it's definitely something you guys should consider if you have any programming skills. From another dimension, man. Winning, all day winning.
Win.
So this week I just want to, instead of giving my usual book recommendation, tell the guys to go check out the PNAC. Everybody's heard of the Project for the New American Century, aka the megalomaniac neo-Roman theorem that wants to expand and extend Pax Americana. I think it's a bunch of bullshit, and this is why I trust the educated classes less and less, and, you know, get behind guys like Charlie Sheen more and more. Everything that's going on in the world today, everything that's going on Wall Street today is directly tied into the PNAC. As Eddie mentioned, you know, Wall Street is no longer just a place to make money. Finance is no longer just connected to the economy or markets. Finance is becoming a part of national security. It's becoming a part of the military-industrial complex. I hate to use that term, but it is. So even though it's a militaristic/political strategy, finance, and specifically Wall Street, are directly embedded and tied into the Project for the New American Century, and you guys should read about it and think about how you play into this and whether you really want to be a part of it, because things are going to change rapidly in the coming decades, and you are a fucking idiot if you think the front office of an investment bank cannot be outsourced. That's it for me from this week. Eddie, take him home.
All right. Well, I don't typically recommend fiction, but my book this week is one you may have had to read in high school, but if you didn't, you should read it now. The book is Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, and it's tangentially related to Charlie Sheen because it was the basis for the movie Apocalypse Now, which his dad almost died while filming. It's a short book, and it's really creepy, so it's a fun read. Check it out.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Charlie tweeted this week that he was going to name his memoirs Apocalypse Me, so that's that too. That's all I've got this week, guys. Keep your heads low and your powder dry, and we'll see you next week on Not Safe for Work.
Keep on winning, fellas.